Please be seated. When I saw you all stand like that, I was kind of worried. Because you're so high from convocation, I was afraid some of you might start floating up to the ceiling. And that would be a bit of a problem for the ushers, I guess. So, greetings and love to all of you, those here at the Bonaventure Hotel in Los Angeles, and to all the devotees who are joining us through the live streaming from all parts of the world. We have a really wonderful, wonderful subject, the guru-disciple relationship. Our guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, he called it love in its supreme form. I think the best way to start this whole thing is for us to collectively invoke the blessings of our gurus. So if we can close our eyes, and please repeat with me. And as we repeat the names of the gurus, feel their presence, feel their tremendous blessings. Om Christ. Om Krishna. Om Babaji. Om Lahiri Mahashai. Om Swami Shri Teshwar. Om Gurudev. Paramahansa Yogananda Ji. We bow to you all. We invoke your blessings upon our lives, upon our spiritual efforts, upon our gathering tonight. Om Shanti. Amen. So, this sacred bond between guru and disciple, the highest expression of friendship. If you look at those devotees who have achieved the highest spiritual success possible, those who know God, who have found God, you'll always see they have such boundless gratitude for what they receive from their guru. I think of Rajarsi Janakananda, who is one of the great disciples, the great saints of this path, always will be. And Brother Bhaktananda, one of our early monks, told how once he was walking with Rajarsi on the grounds of Encinitas Hermitage, and very softly, Rajarsi kept repeating to himself, almost in wonderment, what Master has done for me. What Master has done for me. Now, Rajarsi had done so much for the guru. He paid off the mortgage of the Mount Washington property when our guru was suffering severe financial difficulties, because this was the time of the Great Depression. He funded and built the Encinitas Hermitage, gave it to the guru. He funded our guru's return trip to India, and many, many more things. But all Rajarsi could think and breathe, what Master has done for me. Because from Paramahansaji, he received the greatest gift possible, God, cosmic consciousness. And if you look at our own guru, Paramahansaji, you read his books, and especially you see it in the autobiography of a yogi, one of the big themes that runs throughout the pages of that book is infinite love and praise and gratitude and reverence for his guru, Swami Shri Teshwar. So it seems the more you know God, the more you're united with God, the more you're able to comprehend how much that infinity of blessings that you've received from God through Guru. In a way, I think the guru-disciple relationship, it's a bit of a paradox, because on one hand, the guru is cosmic. And by that, what I mean is the guru is one with the infinite, blissful consciousness of God. And from that oneness, he has all the qualities of God. So the guru is omnipresent, omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing. And so he has that God-united consciousness that is completely beyond our human comprehension. And yet at the same time, that consciousness, that divinity is expressing through this incredibly, magnificently beautiful human personality that is so incredibly personal and approachable. The nearest of the near, the dearest of the dear. The most loving, caring, understanding, intimate friend that we could ever imagine is the guru. And it's all in one. And certainly our own Paramahansa Yogananda ji, he certainly had that cosmic manifestation. It was in the last years of his life when he spent quite a bit of his time out at a retreat in the California desert to get away from the pressures of the work and to work on his writings, to finish them up, and including his commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. And one of the monks who was out there during that time period, he said, he came into the yard for a few minutes. There was a look of incalculable remoteness in his eyes. And he said to me, the three worlds are floating in me like bubbles. Meaning, the physical world of matter, the underlying astral world of light and energy, and the underlying causal world of thought, consciousness. The three worlds are floating in me like bubbles. This was not just an affirmation or an inspirational thought Guruji was expressing. He was describing his experience. Cosmic consciousness, highest degree. Another monk, during that same time period, he entered the room where Guruji was dictating on the Bhagavad Gita to the devotees who were, I think, typing it. And the monk said, the vibration in that room was unbelievable. It was like walking into God. And so this is the cosmic manifestation of the Guru. And he would sometimes say in different ways, he would say, there is no longer any Yogananda anymore. It is only God in this body. When he was traveling in India, he sent a letter to Rajasi, and he wrote, I am the hands and mouth of God to tell you what he wants me to tell you. That's that uniqueness of the Guru. Complete divinity, complete oneness with God, with all the implications of that oneness, and yet at the same time expressing through a human personality that is so incredibly personal, dear, loving, endearing. Here's what Master said. The supreme expression of friendship is the relationship between a true guru and his disciples. In a Christ-like guru, the love of God himself is made manifest in human form. Through the guru, God the silent talks openly. What greater satisfaction could one have than when the heart is aflame with yearning for the unknown God and he actually comes as guru? What greater consolation could one receive than to find that when one's devotion is strong and incessant, the inconceivable infinite manifests in the visible form of Guru. He who follows a God-sent Guru walks in the everlasting light of God. Now, let's talk a little bit about the relationship we have with the Guru as disciples. And here's how Paramahansaji describes it. The very personal and private spiritual bond formed between Guru and disciple, a union of loyal spiritual endeavor on the part of the disciple and divine blessings bestowed by the Guru. Students are those who receive only a little light of truth, but disciples are those who follow completely and steadfastly, dedicated and devoted, until they have found their own freedom in God. It is only after many, 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 and many human incarnations of suffering and disappointments that the soul's yearning to break out of this delusion becomes strong. The soul's yearning to understand its purpose here becomes strong. And that's when God draws us to a true Guru. And that relationship goes on, life after life, until the disciple is free. I always love in the Bible when it describes the first meetings Jesus has with his disciples. A wonderful example is Philip. Do you remember that one? Where Jesus sees Philip, and what does he say? Follow me. And that's all that's necessary. Philip's soul recognizes Jesus, his Guru from past lifetimes, and in that instant, follow me, Jesus becomes the whole center of his life. And we all have our stories to tell, isn't it? For some, it happens quick. For others, it takes longer. But there is that very special moment where God, through the Guru, says to you, follow me. And you respond. And you realize he's the one. He's the one that will take me to God. He's the one I can trust. One devotee, she's been a disciple for many, many years. Her moment came. She was in the SRF Sunday School. She was 4 years old. She was sitting with one of the monks at one of our temples, and suddenly she had the revelation that Master was her Guru. 4 years old. And that sacred memory, though, has been a part of her all her life. Well, one man told us a nice story. Now, to give a little context for this, so years ago in the daily newspapers, we used to have small advertisements for our temple services, and they would include a small photograph of Paramahansa Yogananda, the same one that's on the cover of Autobiography of a Yogi. And so this man wrote to us. In 1969, it was suggested to me that I read Autobiography of a Yogi. I was told to drive down the coast from Los Angeles to Encinitas and stop when I encountered the Lotus Gate at the SRF ashram in order to purchase the book. Once in the bookstore, I was directed to a display of copies of the autobiography. And as I approached the display, I began to say louder and louder, "That's the guy. That's the guy." I was instantly transported back in time to long-forgotten memories of sitting in my high chair as an infant, waiting for my father to bring in the evening newspaper. My parents thought it was so cute that I paged through the paper, pretending to read it in imitation of my father. I was doing nothing of the sort. I never told them that I was looking for the picture of the man who loved me with his eyes. The man who loved me with his eyes. In India, we talk about darshan, where even just seeing the form of a great soul, such as the Guru, by itself is a blessing. And even looking into the eyes of the Guru, it not only can temporarily uplift you, if you're receptive, it can be a permanent blessing. And one profound technique of tuning in with the Guru, you kneel or stand before a large picture, you look into his eyes with an open, reverent heart, and you ask him to help you and bless you. When you're troubled, when you're worried, when you're afraid, you do that. You get an instant response. Now, I want to talk about some of the key qualities that we need to develop and express as disciples. And one of these is loyalty. Now, in the beginning, it's common. I think most go through this. You're searching. And so you try different teachers and you try different teachings, and that's part of the process. But when you feel drawn to a path, then it's important that you focus on that path and not be dabbling in other paths at the same time. Just like if you want to learn to play the guitar, you don't take lessons from 3 different teachers at the same time. That will confuse you. And especially when one takes initiation from a guru and becomes a disciple. And for us, of course, that's the sacred Kriya Yoga initiation. Then it's really important to focus your energies and attention upon your chosen path. Paramahansa said, spiritual results are attained by earnest practice of guru-given techniques and principles, and through devotion and loyalty to your guru's work. The guru can help you more if you are not diluting your forces. And he can help you only if you strive to attain complete mental and spiritual unity with him. Soul control, self-mastery, self-realization is achieved only through devotion to your guru and through oneness with him. Now, there's many aspects of loyalty, and we could talk a lot. Sometimes we give entire classes on the subject, and rightfully so. But what I'm going to emphasize tonight that's very pertinent to our subject, if one has a deep, loving, personal relationship with Guru, loyalty becomes very natural and very, very easy to practice. Because where does loyalty come from? It comes from the heart. Loyalty is primarily an expression of love. I remember when I was real new on the path, I'd been taking lessons maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And so this close friend called me, and he was going to see some famous spiritual teacher, and he wanted me to go with him. And at first it all sounded kind of interesting, but as we talked, this uneasy feeling came up in my heart. And so I told him, I said, I don't think I should go with you. I just started with the SRF YSS lessons, and I think I need to focus on Yogananda's teachings. Well, he didn't like that. And he really tried to convince me. He told me I was being narrow-minded and that by trying different teachers and teachings, this would help broaden and deepen my understanding, my spiritual understanding. Now, I was very new to the teachings, and I didn't know anything about loyalty. And what he was saying seemed to make sense to my mind. But as he kept trying to convince me, this uneasy feeling in my heart just got stronger and stronger. And finally I said, look, I can't explain, but I'm not going. And that was that. But I remember afterward, I went into my little meditation nook where I had the large picture of Master. And I just looked into his eyes, and oh my goodness, I just felt such love, such blessings. The man who loved me with his eyes. And I remember I even said aloud to him, I said, well, Master, I guess I know what it means now to be your disciple. I think the more we practice the teachings, the more we meditate, and the more we develop that personal loving relationship with Guru, the more you know intuitively that the Guru's teachings has everything you will ever need. It will take you all the way to God. Our Guru said, I never found complete satisfaction, comfort, and God contact until I attuned myself with unconditional loyalty and devotion to the divine consciousness of my Guru. Now, there's one quality that really defines the whole essence of the guru-disciple relationship, and of course, that is love. And it's not an ordinary human love. It's a love that's infinite, a love that absolutely has no boundaries, no conditions. When Master and Sri Yukteswar had their first meeting, Sri Yukteswar said to him, I give you my unconditional love. And from the different accounts of the devotees who were with the Master, it seems, as far as I can see, they all had that same experience with Master, where at some point he said to them, I give you my unconditional love. When Master and Sri Yukteswar first met, Sri Yukteswar told him, I will be your friend from now until eternity, no matter whether you are on the lowest mental plane or on the highest plane of wisdom. I will be your friend even if you should err, for then you will need my friendship more than at any other time. This is the relationship we have with these great gurus, each one of us. One man who knew Paramahansa Yogananda, his name was Omar Garrison, and he went on to be quite a successful journalist and author. And during his long career, he interviewed or met many prominent leaders, political, religious. I think at one point he was an aide to one of the presidents of the United States. But he said Paramahansaji was absolutely unique in his experience. And here's what he said. Paramahansaji did not see a person in terms of only one brief lifetime. He was looking at a long succession of lives. He knew that you cannot know a person if you only know him in the context of one lifetime. I believe that's why he understood people better than anyone I ever met. He knew all of my weaknesses. He knew all of my strengths. He respected my ambitions, misguided though they may have been. This is what makes a friend. He was profoundly compassionate and willing to accept people as they were at that moment in time. That last point, we're going to talk more about that, because I find that many, many devotees don't fully understand that. Now, first of all, Guru knows you like nobody else does, or nobody can know you, because he sees the karmic pattern that's been running through lifetimes, many lifetimes. So he knows all the weaknesses, all the bad habits, all the mistakes you've made, not just this life, but past lives too. And yet, knowing all this, still, he accepts you as you now are at this moment in time. Who can give that type of love? Only God. God through Guru. Now, The Master has very high ideals and principles for us, huh? So we meditate morning and evening. We practice the different Kriya Yoga techniques. We practice a life of self-discipline, honesty, positive thinking, fearlessness. We live lives of loving service to others, and the list goes on. And we see the type of devotee we know we want to be. We see the type of disciple we know Master wants us to be, but we're not there yet, isn't it? Sometimes bad habits get the best of us. Sometimes temptations get the best of us. We don't do so good. And then we can feel kind of bad about ourselves. What you have to remember and practice and live by, one of the most single important guiding principles of the disciple's life. The Guru accepts you as you now are at this moment in time. And that means the whole package. All the bad habits, all the mistakes, all the failures. And he not only accepts you, he deeply loves you and cherishes you. Now, of course, this doesn't mean we, don't have the work to do. Sure. We have to work hard to conquer the bad habits. We have to work hard to resist the temptations. We have to work hard to put our lives in tune with these divine, eternal principles of happiness. If we don't do the work, then Guru can't help us, and through the laws of karma, we suffer. But when, despite our sincere efforts, we still get overpowered, we still fall short, that doesn't mean you're bad, and that doesn't mean the Guru is displeased or upset with you. So what does it mean? It just means you have more work to do. That's all. Nothing to fret about. You take a fall and tumble and you fall down. You don't lay there thinking, oh, I'm never going to walk again. But you see, that's it. That's it. Master asks that when you spiritually fall, or morally fall, or ethically fall, whatever the mistake or failure is, all he asks, can you get up? Can you try again? He used to say, keep on keeping on. And he also said, the whole magic of spiritual success, perseverance. Perseverance. Okay, so I want to talk now about some ways to deepen our attunement with the Guru. What we want, and we should never be satisfied till we have it, we keep working at it, is a constant awareness of that ever-living link we have with Guru every moment of our lives, through which his blessings flow. That's what we want to work for. It starts with meditation, using these sacred techniques of Kriya Yoga. Paramahansa Ji said, the salvation of souls through Kriya Yoga is my singular aim. I take no credit. It belongs to God and to the great ones who sent me. But my soul rejoices, for the channel is blessed by what flows through it. This is the Guru's priceless gift to us, his disciples, this holy, sacred science of Kriya Yoga, which includes all the techniques that we teach in the lessons. This is the science of pranayama, life force control. Now, how does pranayama work? Well, Guruji, he often uses the analogy of life and all creation as being this big cosmic movie. And we've been immersed in this cosmic movie for many, many incarnations. And sometimes I like to explain it this way. If you're go to the movies with your friends, and so the movie hasn't started yet, and the big screen is just blank, okay, and you're having your popcorn and talking with your friends and having a grand old time, and suddenly the movie begins. And what happens? All these incredible visual images on that huge giant screen, and all the sound just floods your consciousness, and what happens? You're totally sucked into this movie, and you're oblivious of your friends or your surroundings, you know? Now, that movie works on 2 of the 5 senses, okay? But here we are in this big movie that not only gives us the sight and the sound, but we can hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, feel it. And so we've been so immersed in this thing that our true nature, our true experience of ourselves as the soul, this beautiful, powerful, divine being of light and joy and love, has been completely covered up. So what do? Master used to say, where the energy is, there is the consciousness. When the life force, the energy, is flowing down the spine into the senses, through the sensory nerves, the movie's on, and we're totally captive. We're captive of it. You know, we're totally mesmerized by this thing. But through pranayama, through diligent practice of these sacred meditation techniques, gradually we learn to withdraw the life force away from the senses into the spine and brain, where the higher centers of spiritual perception are. And when that happens, the movie turns down, and that inner world of spirit opens up to us. Now, in the SRF YSS lessons, Guruji gives all these wonderful benefits, you know, of practicing the techniques, the energizing, rejuvenation of the body, mind, and soul, the regrooving of the brain, cauterizing bad habits, burning up the bad karma, developing the concentration and the intuition. But tonight, I'm going to focus on one benefit that's very relevant to our subject. And I think it's very important for us as disciples to remember this. And that is sincere practice of the meditation techniques always, 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 and always brings attunement with the Guru. And through that attunement, we're able in a greater way to receive his blessings, his support. You don't have to be perfect, but what you want is to be very sincere, very regular, very conscientious, very dedicated to the best of your ability. Master said to one of the disciples, "Practice your techniques. It is through practice of the techniques that I can help you." And another time he said, "Guru will be with you if you practice Kriya." Another powerful way to tune in with the Guru is to study his teachings. And one of our early ministers and monks, Brother Bhumananda, dear Brother Bhumananda, he was very fond of telling this story about, so this man came up to him, and the man said, "You know, I used to have the presence of God and the Master, and I don't have it anymore. And I don't know why." And so Brother asked him, "Well, do you meditate?" "Oh, yes." "Do you practice the meditation techniques?" "Oh, yes." "And do you read from the lessons a little bit each day?" Oh, no, I finished them." And so Brother told him, try studying a little bit of the lessons each day and see if that solves your problem. And about a month later, the man came back, had a big smile on his face. And he said, "You know, there's something about reading those lessons that gives attunement with the Guru. I have it back again." So we emphasize, Master emphasized, daily study of the Guru's teachings. You see, his words are not ordinary words. You've all discovered that. Master said, when I am gone, the SRF teachings will be the Guru. Through the teachings, you will be in tune with me and the great Gurus who sent me. His words are not ordinary. They're imbued with the Guru's spiritual potentialities, the Guru's spiritual power, with the vibration of his God consciousness. And when you study, what you're actually doing, you're putting yourself in the vibratory presence of the Guru. And if you do it right, with devotion, with sincerity, and really absorbing your attention, it can be the experience. It's like you're sitting at his feet, and he's actually teaching you through the printed words. It can be that powerful. And if we study through the months and through the years, with time what happens, the Guru's thoughts become really deeply embedded in your consciousness, a part of you, so that your thoughts become the Guru's thoughts, or are very similar to the Guru's thoughts. And what can happen when you're troubled or you have some important decision to make, suddenly like this big, beautiful star, one of his thoughts will rise to the surface of your mind, and it will give you all the direction, understanding, strength you need. Now, one quick, simple, powerful, effective way to get the Guru's blessings: ask the Guru to help you. With sincerity, with trust, with faith. Brother Premamoy was an SRF monk. He passed away quite some years ago. Very saintly monk. For 25 years, he was in charge of training the SRF monks during their initial period in the ashram. Had a tremendous influence on generations of SRF monks. I think we all just deeply revered him. And one of the things he always talked about a lot, developing a personal relationship with the Guru. And I remember I would come to him with my problems, and I kind of, I wanted a magic formula, you know? You do A and you do B, and you'll get C. Well, often he would maybe give me a little advice, but it wasn't like that. And often the main gist of his advice, talk to Master about it, ask him to help you. And at first I was a little frustrated with that. But as I practiced, I took him seriously, you know? I started practicing, and I began to realize he had given me the magic formula. Because as I practiced that, my relationship with the Guru deepened, and through that attunement, I received exactly what I needed. So this is one of the great pillars that supports the disciple through his spiritual journey, her spiritual journey. Ask the help of the Guru again and again and again. I remember when I was a young monk, and so I was asked to perform in our annual Halloween show that we used to have up at the Mother Center. And in those days, it was quite an affair. We'd get thousands of people from the surrounding community. So it was this big deal, and I played some horrible monster, you know, trying to scare people, that sort of thing. Well, the show had a soundtrack, so I'd be behind the set of the show, hidden from all the people, waiting for my sound cue to come out and do my big scene. And it was kind of a classic case of stage fright. I mean, my heart was pounding, my palms were sweaty, my knees were shaking. But what I'd be doing, I'd be fervently asking the Master to help me. And then just before I had to come out, I would visualize that it was the Guru in the middle of that crowd of hundreds of people. And I would come out and I would just play it to the hilt. Give it 1,000%, just trying to entertain the Guru. And on one sense, I was just running around doing this crazy scene. But I'll tell you, I can truly say that each and every time I did that scene, it was a spiritual experience. Because it was all about just me and Guru. I was just trying to make him happy, to please him. And I felt that response of love, of joy. Dayamata, she, of course, was president of SRF YSS for many, many years, and she will always be one of the great examples of discipleship, one of the great saints of this path. She's one who lived constantly in the presence of the Guru. And there's some words she said once that have been very, very helpful to me throughout my life. And she said, "Whenever I am faced with a decision, I always turn my mind to Guruji and inwardly ask myself, if he were here now by your side, what would you do? What would he have you do? The moment I ask this question, I feel his guidance. This prompt response is the result of forming the habit of inwardly talking to Guruji with a sincere desire to put aside personal preferences and do what is best. Guru is the channel that links us with divine wisdom. When we think deeply about what he has taught us and learn to talk to him and ask his guidance, understanding unfolds within us. The very thought that we are always in his divine presence helps us to make the right decision, to say the right thing, to respond in the right way. And so these are some of the keys to developing and making that relationship with the Guru deep and powerful and fulfilling. Meditate faithfully. Practice the Kriya Yoga techniques. Study the Guru's teachings every day. Ask the Guru to help you in little things and big. And whenever you have a decision to make, put yourself in his presence and act accordingly. And underlying this whole thing, do know that even when you don't do the best, when bad habit or environment or whatever gets the best of you, and perhaps you're a little embarrassed about things, but know that he is with you every minute in your darkest hours, loving you, supporting you, your best friend, your greatest well-wisher. Remember his words, I give you my unconditional love. And remember, the Guru's not done with you. He's not finished with you until you know God, until you're free. That's why he came. And so I'll close the talk with these words of his. God has sent you to me, and I shall never fail you. That's his promise to each and every one. God has sent you to me, and I will never fail you. Well, now maybe we'll have a little time for meditation. So one wonderful way to tune in with the Guru is you have the lessons and also his books, and take an inspiration. There's many of them in the lessons, and you can take it and you can use it as a guided meditation. Because as you absorb your consciousness on those words of his, you're actually partaking of his divine consciousness, the divine experience that he expresses, or the divine yearning he expresses in those words. So it's a powerful way to tune in with the Guru. So first of all, sit in meditation posture. And let's just inhale and tense the body. Double exhalation and relax. Inhale and tense. Exhale, relax. One more time. Inhale and tense. Exhale, relax. Now keep the gaze, the point between the eyebrows, the Christ consciousness center. And as I read Guruji's words, absorb, mentally follow along, and just absorb your whole consciousness in the meaning and the expression that Guruji is voicing through these words. This is from lesson 91, Teach Me to Seek Thee. O Spirit, teach me to aspire each day to the best in everything. To aspire each day to the best in everything. Teach me to crave the supreme lasting joy of thy presence in preference to passing sense pleasures. To crave the supreme lasting joy of thy presence in preference to passing sense pleasures. Teach me to think of thee during all my activities. To think of thee during all my activities. Teach me to perform all my duties to please only thee. All my duties to please only thee. Teach me to think of thee until thou dost become my only thought. Teach me to think of thee until thou dost become my only thought. Teach me to pray unto thee until I know thou hast listened to me. Teach me to pray unto thee until I know thou hast listened to me. Teach me to demand entry into my lost palace of peace until I am established forever in that sanctuary within. To demand entry into my lost palace of peace until I am established forever in that sanctuary within. Teach me to call thee until thou breakest thy vow of silence, until thou breakest thy vow of silence. Thou breakest thy vow of silence. Teach me to seek thee until I find thy hiding place. To seek thee until I find thy hiding place. Teach me to love thee until I feel thy love. To love thee until I feel thy love. Teach me to knock at the portal of silence until the door to thy presence opens. To knock at the portal of silence. Knock at the portal of silence until the door to thy presence opens. Teach me to beat the drum of my craving until thou dost come into the temple of my heart. To beat the drum of my craving, beat the drum of my craving, beat the drum of my craving until thou dost come into the temple of my heart. Teach me to exude fragrant devotion until it lures thee into my soul garden. To exude fragrant devotion, fragrant devotion, fragrant devotion until it lures thee into my soul garden. Teach me to break the confining walls of my heart so that thy imprisoned love floods through me to all. To break the confining walls of my heart so that thy imprisoned love floods through me to all. Teach me to behold the spreading radiance of thine infinite presence. The spreading radiance of thine infinite presence. The spreading radiance of thine infinite presence. Teach me to dig with the pickaxe of my peace deeper and deeper into the soil of silence until the water of thy presence gushes forth and I am bathed in thy bliss. To dig with the pickaxe of my peace deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper into the soil of silence until the water of thy presence gushes forth and I am bathed in thy bliss. Teach me to look for thee in myself until I realize that it is thou who has become me. To look for thee in myself until I realize it is thou, only thou, who has become me. Om. Shanti. 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 Amen. And of course, tomorrow will be a very holy, sacred day, as it always is at Convocation with the Kriya initiation ceremonies. And then tomorrow evening, we'll be fortunate and blessed to have our dear, beloved Brother Chidananda join us for satsang. Jai Guru.